Hello and good morning. We are happy to have you all here for our first professional learning session of the 24-25 school year. Welcome back. The new ApplyTexas application is ready. This session is with Texas OnCourse this morning. Some of you may already know, but the ApplyTexas application has a completely fresh new look with an enhanced student experience. Your students can apply to Texas colleges and universities with an application system that has been streamlined and simplified. And this system is already live. We have a lot of great information to share with you guys this morning. So a quick agenda for our fun pack session, welcome and introductions. You'll get to meet our team. I'll briefly introduce them and our guest speakers as well. We're so happy to have you guys here. And they'll share a little bit about themselves as well. And then we'll go through some Texas OnCourse updates. We're looking forward to the new school year, and we'll be sharing additional professional learning sessions we have on the horizon. Then we'll jump into the bulk of a session, ApplyTexas. Molly is going to provide you all with an overview and some of the history. And then Amy is going to walk us through 2 live demos. The live student application demo, as well as the live counselor suite demo. We're also going to pause in between some of those for some of our FAQs, some of those questions that you guys have been asking us. We are hopefully going to be able to answer most of them throughout this session. And then Lauren is going to share a few bright ideas we received from you all. For those of you that are new to our webinars, we have a portion of the session for your bright ideas. So these are the questions that we send out whenever you're registering and we ask you to answer. So thank you guys for all of those amazing, great responses. And then from there, we'll cover the Academy Spotlight, and that will be ApplyTexas today. So we are the professional learning and engagement team at Texas OnCourse, and we'll be your host for all of the professional learning sessions that we have this school year. We all work together to give you the most up-to-date and relevant information and that you can implement immediately. My name is Andrea Panter. I am the Senior Network Coordinator, and I have the privilege of working with Laura Guggen, our Director of Professional Learning Engagement, as well as Lauren Disher, our Professional Learning Coordinator, and Jared Garza, our Network Marketing Coordinator. And we also have a new intern with us that just recently started. His name is Henrik Chan, who is just got accepted into UT and starting there soon. And we have our guest speakers this morning. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Thank you, Andrea. Good morning, everyone. My name is Molly Golly. I am the Senior Director of Advising Strategy in the Division of College and Career Advising at the agency. And we operate ApplyTexas in a joint partnership with our colleagues over in the Marketing and Product Department. I will hand it over to Amy.
Hi, my name is Amy Ziegner. I'm a user experience designer on the product team within the communications department here at the coordinating board. So I help design and do user research on a variety of websites like ApplyTexas, as well as some of our other college advising tools like My Texas Future. And I'm going to pass it over to Tina.
Hello, I'm Tina Woodings. I'm the product operations manager. So I head up analytics, and I help improve our websites and tools like ApplyTexas by recruiting and assisting with user research interviews, where we try to better understand how people use our websites.
Awesome. Thank you, Molly, Amy, and Tina. We're so thankful to have you guys here this morning with us. Our mission at Texas OnCourse is to provide advising professionals with the resources and community they need to deliver exceptional college and career advising to every student. That being said, we have several different learning series planned for you all this year. So I want to take a moment just to share some of those with you. So our professional learning series, these sessions are held at 10 a.m. on the second Tuesday of every month for 90 minutes. So we've extended these sessions from an hour to an hour and a half to allow more time for questions. We just really want to ensure that we're able to address more of your questions during the session in real time. So we sent out a survey at the end of the school year last year and received a lot of great feedback on which topics you would like us to support you on and updates that you needed. So we're excited to incorporate some of those new sessions into this year's lineup, including for September, we're going to cover the college and career readiness assessment. So we'll be talking about the SAT, the ACT, TSIA. And then in October, we will be focusing on advising students with disabilities. So we'll be providing you all with a link to register for all these sessions in our follow-up email. But stay tuned. And then more exciting news, we are introducing a new learning institute this fall where we will be building brighter futures together with My Texas Future. So this series also includes a 90-minute learning session designed to provide just a comprehensive walkthrough of My Texas Future and how it can support career and college exploration for all of our Texas learners. So if you're in middle school, you're in high school, as well as our adult learners. And again, more information, more detailed information will be shared in our follow-up email. So those are just a quick sneak peek into our fall sessions, and we look forward to you guys joining us. And another great way for you to stay connected with Texas OnCourse is through our Texas OnCourse Network newsletter. For those of you that are familiar with the Texas OnCourse Educator Playbook, over the summer, it went through a refresher. I hope you guys got to go through a refresher over the summer as well, and has transformed into the Texas OnCourse Network newsletter. So we'll be providing monthly topics to guide you all throughout the school year. So if you haven't had a chance to register for that, you can definitely do that through the link that we'll provide later. All right, and we will jump into ApplyTexas, and I will pass it over to Molly.
Thank you, Andrea. We're excited today to unveil the newly redesigned ApplyTexas that launched on June 10th. Like any new system, we anticipated and have been working towards making the system work for all of the different individuals who use the system. So while we're in this transition period, we thank you for your patience, and we also welcome your feedback so that we can continue to make improvements to the system as we're launching in this first year. So I'm going to start off with giving you a little bit of an overview and then a history of ApplyTexas. So where did we come from, and then where are we going? So ApplyTexas is actually 3 systems in one. So all of you are familiar with the student application. This is the portal that allows students to submit admissions applications to our participating Texas colleges and universities across the state. There is also the counselor suite, and this is the application that allows you to view your student data, both seeing where they are in the application process and also the financial aid information that all of you find so useful. The third part is the admin portal. The admin portal is where the institutions who use ApplyTexas are able to customize the application. So while ApplyTexas is a common application for the state of Texas, each institution is able to and does customize what their application looks like for students. So this is something really important to know, that when your student is working through ApplyTexas, what they see for one school may be different for another school, because that school has the ability to turn different features on and off and make the determination of questions. So always keep that in mind when you're working with a student, as to ApplyTexas is going to provide your student with a core questions, but then there's also always going to be the university specific questions. So where did we come from? So ApplyTexas has been around since 1998. At that point in time, it launched with just the freshman application. Over the next decade, it launched a lot of different features. We added in the admin portal, which allowed the institutions to customize their applications. We also then added in different application types. And then we launched the Counselor Suite in 2008. And that is the portion of ApplyTexas that gives you that visibility into your students' activities into ApplyTexas. For other things that we've added over the years is FAFSA, and we've also added updates as we went along. The most recent one was in the fall of 2021 when we moved over to the AWS platform. And then this past June, we launched the newly redesigned. So why did we make this change? What were some of the reasonings behind needing to launch a newly redesigned ApplyTexas? So first, there was a reciprocal interest from both the coordinating board and the University of Texas at Austin to transfer the maintenance in operations. ApplyTexas, since its inception, has been maintained and operated by the University of Texas at Austin. They've been a great partner and a great steward of this application, and we're grateful and thankful for their continued partnership. But it was time to move this over into the coordinating board. While we were making that decision, we did some usability testing, which gave us two main action items when we were looking to redesign ApplyTexas. First, it was evident that the application needed to be easier to understand, easier to use, and more accessible. The second thing was it needed to be modernized. Our 21st century students are used to a certain look and feel. Having a look and feel that was more from the early ages of the internet in the 90s was actually very confusing for them. They weren't used to operating in that type of environment. So this allowed us to improve that usability and also modernize the application for our 21st century students. Now I'm going to go through and give you a few highlights of what's new in the student application. So as you said, we have redesigned it, given it a new look and feel. You will see that it has a much more modern interface and modern design. We've also introduced a new application screener. We'll demo this during the live demo. This is really going to help your students make sure that they're using the correct application. When we were looking to making improvements, this was one of the areas that we found was a pain point for both students and for our institutions, of students using the wrong application type, which then caused delays with their application processing once the institution received it. So the new application screener is really there to help your student identify the correct application. We've also updated the core questions. So we reduced the number of redundancies within the core questions, and then also really took this as an opportunity to review the language, making sure that it was more clear and more accessible for our students. The other thing that we did is we added multi-factor authentication, often referred to as MFA. What does this mean for you? This means that when your students log into ApplyTexas, or when you log into the Counselor Suite, you will need to have access to the email address that you use to log in, because we're going to send you a code that you'll have to use to verify. And this just helps with the security based on the sensitive data that is stored in ApplyTexas. So a few things that are going to come out of this that we highly recommend is that this, the first time your students get into ApplyTexas, this is a great time for them to create a new professional email address that is outside of their ISD address. What we have found with this new shift is that if they are using their ISD address in order to log into the system, when they no longer have access to that address, it creates difficulties with them being able to re-access. So for example, if your student applies for dual credit and then applies for a 2-year institution and then does a transfer later on, those are different points in their educational career where they will need to log into ApplyTexas. And so it's best that they have a generic email address from a non-ISD account. The other thing is that we would just want to alert your campuses that this will be a requirement. And so checking to make sure that there are no firewalls or things that are preventing these emails from coming through on your end so that you're able to get into the system. Another great improvement is we've introduced a T-Rex integration for transcripts, and I will go over this in more detail. And then there's also been some updates to the payment process. So this is just giving you an overview of helping you understand the changes that we made into how your students are going to go through the ApplyTexas process. Previously, when students logged into the legacy system, they would complete their profile, which gave their basic information. They would then select the type of application that they were filling out, and this was a self-select process. Once they selected that application type, they were then directed to the application-specific questions for that application type and the school-required questions for the school they were applying to. Once they completed that, they would then click Submit. The new updated user path is that they first take the application screener, and Amy will demonstrate this later in our live demo. Then we have combined the profile and the application type questions together in a common core questions area. The core questions are going to be filled out once, and they carry over to every single application that your student will fill out. Then they select the school that they want to apply to, or schools. And at that point, they will only need to complete the school required questions because the bulk of their application will be completed with the core questions. Once they've completed those school questions, they're ready to submit and move on. Another enhancement that we've made in partnership with our institutions is introducing rich text for essays. So just to give you all a little overview, there are two different types of text that can be transmitted through web applications. First one is plain text. Plain text is where you're not allowed to use any type of formatting. So things like bold, italics, spaces between paragraphs are not transmitted when the application is submitted. The legacy system only had plain text. So all application essays were submitted in plain text previously. We've since introduced the option for institutions to start receiving rich text. Rich text allows your students to format their essays in order to convey their voice better to the institution. So they can use things like bold, underlined, italics, different types of fonts in order to better convey their voice and their essay to the institution. Now, something to note is that, like I said, in the admin portal allows institutions to make the decision if they want to receive rich text or not. So rich text is only available if the institution has turned on this feature in their admin portal. So it is quite possible that you will have some students apply to one school where rich text is available and another school where only plain text is available. In either or situation, we highly recommend that your students review for formatting to make sure what they are transmitting to the institution is an accurate representation of what they want to be sent. Thank you. Next slide. Sorry. The next change is the changes to the payment information. So previously, students, upon completing their application, could submit payment in ApplyTexas, and that payment would be transmitted to the institution. Due to some limitations of having the application moved to the coordinating board, we have had to remove payment from ApplyTexas for the time being. What this means is that when your student submits their application, they will just receive instructions and messaging that payment will happen outside of ApplyTexas. The messaging is also reinforcing that not all institutions have an application fee. And so keep that in mind. It's only for the institutions that have an application fee is where they'll need to actually pay the application fee outside of ApplyTexas. Now, how will this happen? So your student will check these boxes, understanding that if payment is required, that they will need to pay that outside of ApplyTexas. Then upon submitting the application, the student will receive a confirmation email from the institution. That confirmation email will let the student know that their application has been received by the institution and will give them steps and instructions on how to pay. This is where they would get instructions on if they're interested in using a fee waiver, paying by credit card, or whatever, or other forms of payment that the institution accepts. So previously, a student was able to indicate in ApplyTexas their intended form of payment, whether that be that they intended to use a fee waiver, credit card, check. Now, what will happen is that that information will be sent with the confirmation email, and then your student will be able to inform the institution of how they intend to pay at that point in time. And that's the point in time where they will be able to indicate if they are paying with a fee waiver. The next enhancement is T-Rex integration for transcripts. All of your campuses are familiar with T-Rex. It is the system that y'all use in order to transfer records between schools across the state of Texas. If you have a student who is transferring from one ISD to another ISD, T-Rex is used to transmit those student records. It also can be used in between school districts, between an elementary and a middle, and middle to a high school. We have leveraged this same system. It has always been available to send transcripts from T-Rex to institutions of higher education. It has just not been used as widely. This integration is now going to introduce the T-Rex sending of transcripts to institutions on a wider basis. So we're going to walk through what this process looks like and then go through some FAQs that we get about this new feature. So you'll see here on the left-hand side, when they get to the end of the application, the student will get this information. This is an opt-in process. It is not an automatic process. So a student can opt in to have T-Rex send their transcripts to the institution that they're applying to, or they can opt out. They opt in by checking the box next to the school that they want their transcripts sent, or if they do nothing, there's no transcripts will be sent through T-Rex. You will also see that T-Rex is only available to send transcripts between high schools within the state of Texas. So you can see here in our example that this student attended the University of Alabama, and it clearly indicates to them that there's no way for T-Rex to send this transcript to the institution. However, they do get the option because they indicated in their application that they attended Crockett High School and Regent School of Austin. If they were to select either or both, that would generate a request within T-Rex. I'll stay on the student side and then we'll get back to what that looks like on the T-Rex side. So here on the right-hand side, you will see that there are different statuses that a student will see if they opt in to having their transcript sent out. That first one is that the transcript has been received. Received means that it is in queue within T-Rex. So this means that their request to send the transcript is in queue, but has not been worked on within T-Rex. Sent status means that the ISD, typically the registrar, has sent the transcript to the IHE or the institution through T-Rex. The third status is received, and that is T-Rex sends confirmation that the institution has received the transcript. And then the last one is a failure notice, which means that it's undelivered. What that means is that the request remained in requested status and timed out within the T-Rex system. So the student would see that it was undelivered and then be referred back to their counselor in order to receive information. So we've had a few questions as we've introduced and rolled out this feature around what does the student see when the error was on the institution receiving the transcript? In that case, it would remain in sent status. So it would remain in sent status until the institution provides us confirmation that it has received it. So if a request remains in sent status, that is how the student would know and how you would be able to advise your student that it's the IAG that they need to reach out to. It's the institution that they need to reach out to in order to determine the status of their transcript. If it moves into undelivered, this is the status which indicates that there was an error on the side of TREX, and that's where your registrar or whoever manages sending transcripts would be able to intervene. On the TREX side of this, it's going to look exactly the same when your registrar or the person who manages your transcripts logs in. They will see a request as though it came from the student to have their transcript sent. They can elect to send it in all the different ways that TREX sends transcripts. They still have those same options, meaning that they can opt to send it without waiting for final semester grades, hold it until final grades are submitted. They can also add notes to the transcript that will transmit over to the institution that the student is applying to. One thing that I want to note is that we understand that across the state, there are ISDs that use other software to transmit transcripts. This is an and. So we're not asking you to abandon those systems and no longer use those systems. We're adding this as an added benefit to level the playing field so that all ISDs have an electronic way to send transcripts to institutions. The other thing is we've worked really closely with the institutions, and the institutions do have a preference for the way that TREX sends transcripts to the institutions. So it will help your students if you use TREX to send their transcripts. It is sent in a way that the institutions can quickly and easily ingest the information and read the information. Some of the other, not all, but some of the other software that is used generates a PDF that is still electronically sent, but it requires a manual read by the institution, meaning that it requires a person to actually review it and do a data entry before they can review the student's application. So electing to use TREX to send those initial transcripts could improve the efficiency of your student's application getting processed because TREX is used in a way, is transmitted in a way that the institutions can easily read that information electronically rather than having to do a manual read by a person. The next enhancement is our dual credit application. This application is very similar to how I referred to with the rich text. It is an opt-in and a feature that institutions can choose to use or not choose to use. So keep in mind that while dual credit is a new application type in the new ApplyTexas, it doesn't mean that your partner institution is using it. It's only available if your partner institution has turned it on. Amy's going to walk you through what this looks like with an institution who has the dual credit application turned on, and also show you when an institution does not have its dual credit application turned on. So it's really important for you to check with your partner institution for specific instructions on how they want your students to submit dual credit applications for the 24-25 cycle. It's quite possible they want you to continue to use the same application type that they've used in the past, or it's quite possible that they've turned on their dual credit application, and that will be the way that they want to see that information. So check with your partner institution before you start your dual credit applications this year. Okay, I'm going to pause here just for a few FAQs that we get around those different enhancements and just kind of a recap. So a reminder to ask your students to start to create their ApplyTexas account using a non-ISD email address. This will really help in the future as they use ApplyTexas throughout their college journey, that they are never in a position where they're locked out because they no longer have access to that email. Also, a reminder to check with your campus to make sure that our MFA emails can get through to your email system so you as counselors can get in to the counselor suite, because the counselor suite also requires MFA. Then as a reminder, ApplyTexas no longer accepts payment. So instead, payment is going to be received outside of ApplyTexas. So when your students are asking for instructions on how to pay their application fee or to request a fee waiver, ask them to look out for that confirmation email. That confirmation email from the institution will give them those instructions and also provide them instructions on if they intend to use a fee waiver. And finally, with the introduction of TREX, we understand that this is a change. This is going to be a change for your registrars. We are working very closely with the ESCs, and within the next month, we will be rolling out a training for all of our registrars across the state. We were waiting to do this training until the beginning of the school year, making sure everyone's back and ready to receive this information. Your registrars will be receiving this information within the next few weeks from the coordinating board. And then within the next month, we will be holding that training session. It will also be recorded so that your registrars and whoever processes your transcripts on your campus are made aware of this process and understand the benefits of incorporating TREX transcripts into your college application process. And with that, I will pass it over to Amy, and she's going to go through our live demo of the student application.
Thanks so much, Molly. So when a student signs into ApplyTexas for the first time, they're going to be met with this onboarding screen that gives them an overview of the 3 major steps in the application process. The first being filling out an application screener to find the right application type. Then moving on to the core questions, which is that set of questions that are common to all applications. And lastly, they'll be able to go and find specific institutions that they want to apply to and answer those school-specific questions. So from here, I'm going to take over and share my screen so I can walk you through those 3 areas. Beginning with the application screener. So let's imagine that I'm a high school student signing in for the first time. I'm a senior. I'm interested in applying to dual credit programs. I want to take some dual credit courses within my senior year. And I also know that I'm going to be applying to 4-year programs. So this first page is asking me about my high school status, and I'll say, yes, I'm currently in high school. And then it asks if I plan to apply to an undergraduate program, dual credit, or both, the last being more common for 12th grade students like myself. And just notice if I had any questions about what this meant, there's a tooltip here on the right side that opens up some details to help me understand what this question is all about, what dual credit is, and you'll see that a lot throughout ApplyTexas. So I'll click both, and then I'll move on to the next page in the screener, which asks about my course history. The first question is, have you ever taken college courses? Let's say I've taken some dual credit courses already. I'll click yes. And now the next question asks if any of these situations apply to me. Am I planning to reapply to college? Do I plan to apply to transfer or take courses at another college or university? But since I'm in high school right now, I'm going to click I'm in high school and none of the above apply. And then it asks what I'm planning to apply to, undergraduate, graduate programs, or both. This might be something that students need some clarity about, right? What's a graduate program? What's an undergraduate program? The tooltips could be really helpful there, but I'll click undergraduate. And then it asks if I already have or will have a bachelor's or equivalent degree prior to the start of the semester to which I'm applying. I'm in high school still, so I'm going to click no, I won't have a bachelor's degree. And then the last page asks about my citizenship status. Just for this example, I'll say, no, I'm not a US citizen. And then it asks which of these apply to me, right? If I'm a permanent resident, if I hold an eligible visa, if none of the above apply. In this case, I'll just say none, but I will indicate that I've been living in the state of Texas for at least the last 3 years. And again, all of these questions are really there to help pinpoint the right application type for students, showing them whether or not they're eligible for undergrad or graduate, international, versus your standard domestic student applications. So now I can see the types of applications that I should be applying to based on the way I answered those questions, undergraduate 4-year, undergraduate 2-year, as well as dual credit. And from here, I'm going to go on to complete the core questions. Now, our core questions are broken down into 4 major areas. The first being about you, where students will provide details such as their contact information, demographic information. If their family members are in the military, they'll be able to respond to questions about that. The second section is all about their household. So this is where they'll provide details about their parents or guardians, their residency status, any other family obligations or family information that they need to provide. The third section revolves around education and testing, where they can provide details about where they've gone to high school, any college level courses they've taken, exams they've taken. And in the last section, they'll be able to provide details about their volunteer activities, extracurriculars, any awards that they've received. And you'll notice as I've gone through these that the first page gives you an overview of what to expect in this part. And it also tells you on the right-hand side any documents you might need. So we want students to go into each part of this process ready with the materials on hand to make this as simple and straightforward as possible, recognizing that there are a lot of, at times, confusing questions here. Just being able to have your documents available should make that process a little bit simpler. As they're going through this, we also realize that there are so many details here. Students might not be able and likely won't be able to complete all of these questions in one sitting. So as they go through, they will be able to save their progress. It's just important to note that a student will need to answer all required questions on any single page before clicking save and coming back later. So just make sure that any question that's required with that little asterisk is filled out before saving and coming back. Now, as students are working through these core questions, they can come to their dashboard at any time, which also gives them entry points back into those questions. If for some reason they needed to take the application screener again, that's available at the top left. But once those first 2 steps in the process are done, now they'll be able to start looking for schools. And so I can go to the school search section here to start looking for institutions where I want to apply. Now, again, I'm going to imagine that I'm a high school student, and first I want to take care of that dual credit application that I'm interested in. Let's say I'm a student at a school in Austin. So my high school has a partnership with Austin Community College. I'm going to look up Austin Community College. And I am going to filter first for dual credit. And here I can see that there aren't any results. This is a signal to me that ACC does not have a dual credit application type turned on. So let me clear out this filter for a moment and see what other application types are available. Okay, so now I'm seeing undergraduate 2-year. This is likely the application type that I'm going to need to fill out in order to apply for dual credit there. But let's say now I'm a student at a school in Houston, and my high school works with Houston Community College. I'm going to look for dual credit. Let's say I'm looking to apply for this fall. And here I can see that Houston Community College does have a dual credit application turned on and available. So by clicking View Details, I can see some information about the school. I can start my application from here. And I will see what types of questions they have, such as major, any school required questions, or essays. Now, if I go back to the school search for a moment, when I'm ready to apply for four-year programs, I want to call out that there are a variety of filters here that I can use. I can look for instance, the semester for next fall, right? This is when I'll be applying to start an undergraduate program. Perhaps I'm looking for schools that don't require an application fee or don't require an essay. If I apply those filters now, I can see different institutions, different four-year institutions pop up. And I can decide which one of these I'm interested in applying to. Noting that all the results are giving me details about application deadlines, when the app is open, and some more information about the school. Before I look at the school, I want to call out that part of the reason why we go through that application screener in the very beginning is so that we can default this page to only show the application types that are the best fit for students. So because I took that screener and came up with undergraduate 2-year, 4-year, and dual credit, those are the kinds of application types I'm able to see here first and foremost. I could always turn that off if I wanted to look for other application types. So when I click on View Details now, I'm being presented with some more information about the institution, right? I can see where it's located. I have a link out to the university's website, contact information, as well as additional deadlines and payment details being provided here. Just like with that dual credit app, if I click Start Your Application, now I'm being taken to the application overview. You'll notice here is where I can find my unique application ID. If I ever need that as a reference, I can always click back into this application and see that ID number located right on my overview page. Again, I'll have to answer questions about what major I'm interested in, any school-specific questions that this institution would like me to answer, and if essays are required, I would put my essay response here. This is an example of an institution that doesn't have that rich text editor turned on. This is just a plain text field where I can type or copy and paste my essay into. So if I want to click next, notice it's not letting me go forward because I haven't answered this. So I'll just fill in a few words here so that I could go on to the next page. And now I'm being taken to review my application. So this screen shows me that I've answered all of my core questions, but it's noting that I still have a few details to provide the school before my application is truly ready to submit. This is also the screen where I can opt in to have my high school transcript sent to this institution via TREX. So I would click my school name here and then move on to the next step, which will show me agreeing and filling out some acknowledgements and also taking me to that payment overview page. I'm just not able to see that right now because my application is not quite ready to go yet. if I go back to my dashboard, now I can see the applications that I have open. It's letting me know what sections I have done. And for these institutions where I've just opened up my applications, what sections I still have left to complete. Now, I do have some applications here that have already been submitted to different schools. And you'll notice if I click into one of these, like my application at the University of Texas at Austin, it gives me an overview of my required next steps. So one thing that I'm going to have to do on my own outside of ApplyTexas is pay my application fee. Once my application has been sent off to the institution, I'll receive email notifications from that school letting me know how I can go about paying my application fee or getting an application fee waiver. I'll also need to submit my test scores and any additional transcripts. This section here lets me know my transcript request status via TREX, right? So Molly walked us through the different statuses before. In this case, my transcript was undelivered, right? It timed out and was never transferred over from TREX to the institution. So that's an important signal to me as a student that I need to get in touch with my counselor, the registrar at the school to make sure that my transcript request is being taken care of. I want to call out too that each of these checkboxes here is something that I, as the student, can toggle on and off. They're not automated in any way. This is really just a checklist for me to make sure that I am keeping track of my responsibilities outside of this application. And those same steps appear right here on my dashboard, so I can easily check them on and off from this screen as well. Any applications that are past the deadline are also visible here. Now, if I run into any issues while I'm using ApplyTexas, while I'm working on my applications, I want to point out that there is a section for frequently asked questions down at the bottom that gives some guidelines for how to explore schools, submitting letters of recommendation, knowing if my institution uses the scholarship application and things like that. But if my questions aren't being answered by these FAQs or I'm running into some sort of glitch, I can also click this contact tab at the bottom of the screen here. And by clicking contact us, a new window will open up where I can submit a support ticket. So I'll indicate that I'm a student or applicant. And from there, I can provide my name, my contact information, if need be, that application ID number, which again is located on the overview page for any institution's applications that I have open. And I can note exactly what I need help with and then click submit. So those are the key areas of ApplyTexas within the student portal. I do want to open up our slides once more because I know that many counselors will be interested in creating an account for themselves so they can start to see exactly what this looks like from a student perspective and really dig into those core questions, what they are, and how the tool really behaves. So we have some guidelines for you when it comes to creating an account that you want to use just for your own experimentation. So Andre, if you could open up the slides quickly, I'll just point out the best way to go about setting up one of those accounts.
Amy, are you able to see my screen?
I'm not seeing it just yet.
I can see it. It looks like it's on that test account slide, Amy.
Gotcha. Okay, great. For some reason, it wasn't visible on my side, but Essentially, what you can do is from applytexas.org, create an account. And we ask that you make sure you use a personal or temporary email, not your school-based email, not the email that you would use in the counselor suite. If you try to use the same email, you're going to have login issues signing into either tool. So just make sure that it's a personal email, a temporary email, something different than what you'll use to access the counselor suite. And then just to signal to us that this is something that you're using as a test, please put test in the first name field and counselor in the last name field. And the one other thing that we want to emphasize is that you should not submit any applications with this account. Remember, these applications will go to institutions, so we don't want to create any confusion, leading universities to think that you're actually trying to apply to the school. So those are the main guidelines for setting up a test account so that you can explore from the student's perspective. And we'll be happy to share these in writing as well. I'm not sure, Molly, do we have any other FAQs that we want to address in this part, or would we like to now segue into the counselor suite?
Thanks, Amy. I think you covered everything from dual credit and the different application types that students will see. So thank you so much for that comprehensive review of the student application. We are now going to move into the counselor suite. So as a reminder, this is the second part of ApplyTexas. So we have the student application, the counselor suite, and then the admin portal. The counselor suite is that part that allows you to have that visibility into what your students are doing in ApplyTexas, and also provides you with that financial aid information. Amy is going to do a live demo here in a minute, but I just wanted to get everyone up to date on the process that we are going through right now at the coordinating board in order to get everyone access into the counselor suite. So a perfect dovetail happened when we launched the new ApplyTexas system, along with the MOUs that we have with the ISDs across the state that gives you access to the counselor suite. Unfortunately, that dovetail is that all of the current MOUs that we have with ISDs expire on August 31st, 2024. So in about 2 weeks. Because of that expiration, we have to make sure that everyone has a current MOU on file before we can give you access. So at this point in time, we are not granting new access to any counselors to the counselor suite until we can verify that a new MOU has been signed. That is just so that we're not giving you access and then 2 weeks later having to remove access. We just want to make sure that everyone has access once that new MOU is signed. So what have we been doing for the past few months as we were preparing for these MOUs to expire? So beginning in the end of the school year and throughout the summer, we have been working very closely with the ESCs in order to get their MOU signed. So before we can start working on the ISDs, we need to have an MOU signed by your region's ESC. Those are going very well. We are almost done with signing all of the ESC MOUs. As we get a signed MOU from the ESC, we immediately start working with the district. Again, what we've been doing over the summer is we've been communicating with all 1,200 districts across the state of Texas to identify what is the signature process for your specific district. Districts have different policies when it comes to signing contracts. In some case, an MOU of this nature can be signed by the district counselor. Other times it requires a superintendent. There are other districts that also require board approval in order to sign any type of memorandum of understanding. So different ISDs will have different timelines based on who needs to sign their MOU and what is their contracting process. Based on all of those different timelines, we estimate that there will be a delay in getting, there will be a time period where we're not able to get some counselors into the counselor suite. Our goal, though, is to use the fall semester to get all of these MOUs re-signed and get everyone back into the counselor suite before the start of the spring semester. So please be assured that we are in contact with the right person at your ISD. We've already been working through and troubleshooting with them over the summer as to how to expedite this process as quickly as possible while maintaining the legal processes of signing contracts. So your ESCs have been great partners in helping us identify and getting in contact with the right people, and we continue to make progress. And so we thank you for your patience, and we understand the delay in getting access to the counselor suite that this will cause in your workflows. And so we, again, just ask for your patience. Know that we are working very closely and we'll get those signed and get you access as soon as possible. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Amy, and she is going to give you a demo of the counselor suite. In closing, I do, once we do have those ISD MOUs signed, a question that we oftentimes get is, how do I gain access to the counselor suite? That is done by emailing your ESC representative. Your representative can be found in the counselor suite. So once we have confirmation that your MOU is signed, your ESC representative will be reaching out to you and getting the names of the individuals who need to be authorized for the counselor suite. And with that, I'll hand it over to Amy.
Thanks so much, Molly. Let me share my screen once again to show you what it looks like once you're signed into the counselor suite. Once I'm signed in, I will be able to see my dashboard here. This might look a little different from person to person depending on what your permission levels are, but you'll have a few entry points from your dashboard to view your student data, and notice that I will need to select my school before going and viewing that information. So I'll select a school as an example, just here assuming that I am in the Austin region within Austin ISD, and I'll pick a particular high school here just to update and now see that I have a couple more options once I've selected the school where I work. From here, I want to point out that there is a school search feature. So as you're working with students who are applying to different institutions across the state, you may want to look up information about those institutions around deadlines, fees, things of that nature. So you can search for specific schools. You can filter by application type and semester, as well as some of the same filters that students have over in their portal, such as no application fee. And you're able to view a lot of the same details that they would see on their side regarding deadlines, costs, essay requirements, so on and so forth. So this can be a really helpful tool in counseling sessions. You'll also be able to view application counts, and these can be filtered down to the high school level at your specific school. And you'll be presented with charts that look like this, really laying out from year to year those application counts, and also which institutions students are applying to, how many applications are open, submitted. You likely will not see numbers quite like this when you sign in to your account. We also have a section for reports and downloads here at the top right. This is where you're able to access training documents, previews of a few application types so that you can see the kinds of core questions that are asked in each of those areas. And from here, you'll be able to run reports specifically at your school. Likely the most important area for you is that Students tab. And what I'd like to do now is I'd like to pass it over to Andrea to pull up some slides so that I can show you some examples of what the Students tab looks like without sharing any sensitive student information. And you are able to access that directly from the dashboard or from the navigation at the top of the screen. Now, once you have clicked on that tab, you will see a page that looks like this, letting you know how many of your students are using ApplyTexas, how many have submitted applications, how many have submitted applications for financial aid. You'll be able to filter this list down to specific students. You'll be able to filter it by application status and financial aid status. And as you scroll down, you'll see a table. Moving to the next slide, that lists out your student name, the number of ApplyTexas applications they have open, that they've submitted, and those that have expired or passed their deadline. You'll be able to see if they've completed a financial aid application, either FAFSA or TASFA. And there's also a section to indicate if they've been selected for income verification. So if there's an X there, they've not been selected for verification, but if there is a check, they have been. That's just helpful to note any students that you might need to follow up with to see what kinds of documentation they'd need to provide for verification purposes. And using that little, if we go back for just a moment, using that little accordion on the right side where it says see less or see more, that opens up a list so you can see the specific schools and semesters where students are applying. By clicking on the student's name, now we can go to the next screen, which gives you a more detailed view into the applications that students have open or have sent. It lets you know when the application was submitted. It also lets you know which of those required next steps students have checked off on their personal checklists. Remember, students can click those items on and off because those are all things that they're doing outside of ApplyTexas, paying their application fee, submitting their test scores. So if you see that these items are still in yellow, you know, okay, this is a student I need to check in with, make sure they understand how to pay their fee or submit their fee waiver, where they need to go to submit their scores, and really that they're keeping up to date on all of these important actions. So that is what the new students section of ApplyTexas Counselor Suite looks like. I know there have been some questions around viewing the application types and getting students' application ID numbers within the Counselor Suite. Those items are currently not visible there, but we did highlight when we were going through the student portal where that information lives on the application overview. So that is just a note, you know, you would need to check in with the student if for any reason you need that application ID number, really to reference the student portal. Rather than seeing it in the Counselor Suite at the moment. But I think those are the key areas that we wanted to highlight within the Counselor Suite. I'll just pause and see if there are any other common questions that we want to address.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Just to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying on, there are certain features that are not currently available in the Counselor Suite. So just like Amy showed you on the Contact Us page, where a student can submit a help desk ticket if they are experiencing any problems, that same help desk link, either through the student application or you can access the same link through the Counselor Suite, on the drop-down menu provides a option to identify yourself as a counselor. And so if you, in the same way that if your student experiences any technical difficulties on the student application, if you experience any technical difficulties within the counselor suite, please feel free to submit a help desk ticket in the same way. This is also an area where you can submit suggestions for enhancements. Just to make sure we're all on level set here, we are currently making sure that we're prioritizing fixes, so items within the application that are not working. And enhancements is something that we will move forward with at a future date. But it is great if you have ideas, which I'm sure you do, on how we can improve this system. Like Amy and Tina were saying at the beginning, their role at the agency is really to help us identify how we can make our tools the best possible for their users. Feel free to just pop us a help desk ticket with that suggestion, and we will definitely file it away and then follow up with you with any questions, or also letting you know when possibly that enhancement has been released. So we look forward to hearing from you through those avenues. And that is all that we have for the ApplyTexas.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Molly. Thank you so much, Amy. I love those student demos. They're so wonderful in the counselor suite. We really appreciate you guys being here and doing that for us. So now we're going to get into our Bright Ideas section of today's session. So first and foremost, I know Andrea kind of already painted a picture of what our bright ideas are, but we do want to reiterate just saying thank you so much for submitting your responses. We really do enjoy going through them, seeing what you guys have to say, and seeing how you're showing up for your students. So for today's bright ideas, we asked 3 different questions. And the first one was, how do you introduce your students to ApplyTexas? From your responses, we found that counselors and educators and advisors introduce ApplyTexas in 3 major ways. And that first one is during dual credit advising and registration sessions. So as we know, there are more students doing dual credit. We have more early college high school campuses, more P-Tech campuses, and even students in 8th grade are taking these courses. So we're finding that students are introduced to ApplyTexas at a younger age. So they're getting more prepared with the process. They already know what it looks like so that they can be more prepared when they're a senior. The second way that y'all introduce ApplyTexas is with your juniors, with those essay questions and the ApplyTexas platform. This is another great way to just start early with your students, starting with those juniors, talking about those essay questions, having them write them perhaps in an English class so that they're more prepared, so that when it comes time for them to do their applications, they have their essays ready to go and they can just put them into the system. The third and definitely the most popular response that we got is you guys are introducing your students to ApplyTexas in classroom sessions with seniors to launch that application season. This is a great bright ideas, guys. You have a big group of students right there. You can walk them through the application process, go over some of those questions that they might have, what the application looks like, so they can be better prepared for when the time comes for them to do those applications. The second question that we asked for today's Bright Ideas was, where within the application process do you observe students having questions about ApplyTexas, and how would you support them in these instances? So we know that many people on this call have used ApplyTexas for a long time and have gone through several iterations. And, you know, some of the issues that we've had in the past have really helped inform the new experience that you see now. It's helped inform the new dashboard, the new features, and that new T-Rex integration process. So from the responses that we got from this question, one of them was that applying to multiple universities and adding additional options to their dashboard can often have students asking more questions. So we've really worked to streamline that process, make that dashboard super easy to navigate so there's no confusion for the student on how to add more universities to their dashboard and apply to different colleges. The second one that we found was just gathering essential documents for parent finance questions. As Amy pointed out, there on the on the core questions, there were those essential documents that can help kind of prompt students to know what they're going to need for those specific questions. Like maybe they need an income statement, or they need to talk to their families or guardians, or just figure out what they're going to say for those specific questions. The third bright idea that we had for this one was just completing that dual credit application. Again, just like Amy and Molly said, we've worked to streamline that process and make it very clear to students that what they are doing is applying for dual credit and how that process works, so they're more prepared all around when they become a senior. The third question that we asked was, how do you use the ApplyTexas Counselor Suite in your role? And from what you guys said, that the Counselor Suite is ideal for the following purposes. The first one is monitoring the specific universities and colleges students are applying to. This is such a great bright ideas, guys. You can really figure out which group of students are applying to Texas State, who's applying to UT Austin, so on and so forth. This is really handy to know if you have the Texas State representative coming to your campus, for example, to talk about Texas State. You can invite that group of students to that talk so they can learn more about the university. Just really great essential information that you can then use to help those students apply to that college. The second one is just documenting student application and financial aid data for easy access. This is so handy that you can run reports in the Counselor Suite to view that data, and it can be super beneficial if an administrator or a district wants records on student progress or just quick numbers on how many students have applied or completed financial aid. And it's really handy to have that data right at your fingertips. The third, and again, the most popular response that we got is you guys are using the ApplyTexas Counselor Suite for checking on student application status. That is such a great, bright ideas, guys. Where are your students in that application process? Do they need a nudge or assistance? It's so helpful that you can monitor this information and really individualize student advising sessions. And it's helpful when you're having those one-on-one sessions with them to ask them about their progress. So guys, that concludes our Bright Ideas for today's sessions, but you can definitely look forward to Bright Ideas in all of our webinars throughout the year. And again, I cannot thank you enough for all of your responses. We really do enjoy going through them and looking at them. And with that, I will hand it over to Andrea.
Thank you, Lauren. Wow, thank you so much for all those bright ideas and for your participation. We're going to take a quick look at our Texas OnCourse Academy and our quick spotlight of updates that we have with ApplyTexas. So for those of you that are new to Texas OnCourse, the Academy is our online professional learning resource for college and career advising. It is free for all Texas educators and will help you prepare any student for any post-secondary options. So whether they're interested in going to the military, maybe they want to start off at a community college, maybe they're applying to a university, we have a library of resources available for you. Again, as I mentioned, free. So to get the Academy through our website, just simply click on the educator login. And then from there, you just select Academy. It's super simple. And you can easily just create your own account. So just to show you a little bit about where you can find some more information about ApplyTexas, once you've created that account, it'll bring you to your own personal dashboard that you can see here on the top left. From there, we have a couple different ways that you can search for a course. The ApplyTexas course, this specific course, is located in the admission and application process section. And great news for that. Later this month, possibly even next week, you'll be able to find some more additional updated ApplyTexas modules with different resources that you will be able to use and utilize to just walk through with different counselors, administrators, advisors on your campus. So there's a lot of different slideshows that we've incorporated into there that you can download and use during your advising sessions. And we will continue to update this module throughout the year. And also, before we wrap up today, just a great way to connect with Texas OnCourse is through our YouTube channel. We have, as I mentioned earlier, another way you can find all of our previous webinars is on our YouTube. This is a great way to just keep up with everything that we have going on as we catch up from last year, as well as moving forward with the 24-25 school year. So definitely subscribe to our YouTube. And then during all of our webinars, we also provide a detailed resource document that with all of the essential links you need from each of our sessions. So thank you, Lauren, for creating this. So you can scan the QR code as you're viewing currently live, or you can, if you're unable to do that as you're looking at it right now, we are also going to provide this in our follow-up email. And of course, as always, we appreciate your feedback. So any additional questions that you have, please provide those for us. You can do it through the survey. It's just a brief 3-question survey. And the last question is from our product team, and they would love to hear more about your experience using these platforms with your students. Thank you again, Amy and Tina, for those great live demos. So if you didn't get a chance to go through all of them, definitely rewind and watch those. And if you'd like to reach out to them to provide any additional information you have for them, please include your email in the survey, because these emails are anonymous. So if you don't include the email, we're not able to reach out to you. So we appreciate you all being with us here today and hope you enjoy the rest of your week.